Hello everyone. Today in this module I gonna teach you about the reforms of the United Nations. From this reforms of the United Nations, this is a topic from class 12 political science chapter United Nations and its organization. In our previous video from this chapter we already discussed about the topic of the agencies of UNO, and also we have discussed already about the discussion about the evaluation of the UNO and the why do we need international organization, that we already have discussed in our previous video. So in this module we have to know about the reforms, what are the changement, what are the reformations the countries want in the UNO, that's we have to know. Okay, so basically we all know that the reforms and improvement are a fundamental to any organization, because in any organization those who wanted to improve their nations, those who wanted to improve their organizations, or those who wanted to develop their organization and wanted to run out their organization in a current situation, they need reforms, because without the reforms and improvement among its policies or its structure, any organizations, they are not cope up with the current situation of the society. So for that reason we can say that reforms and improvement are important at the basic to any organization for serving the needs of a changing environment. Similarly, the UNO is also, it's not exceptional, it's not on any other or types of organization. UNO also needs some kind of it's you say that the improvement. For that reason it's also the members of the UNO also demanded some kind of reforms, some kind of changement among its policy. So in the recent year there have been demands for the reform of the whole body. So the members of the UNO, they wanted to develop the UNO in not in a particular area but in a whole area, or they wanted to reform the whole strategies and policies of the UNO. For that reason, due to there is some little bit clarity and consciousness on the nature of reforms, for that reason they try to divided the reforms into two different areas. They basically demanded the two basic differences of the UNO. So let's see that in this topic what we have to know, that is we have to know the two reforms of the UNO and then we have to know that why they need this kind of reforms, why the UNO demanded or why UNO need the reforms or changement in their structures or in their areas. So this module we have been talking about first about the forms, and then we have talked about the needs. So let's start with one chart. From here I prepared a chart. In that chart you will understand that what are the reforms and what are the areas on which the UNO wanted, the members of the UNO, they wanted to reforms the whole body of the UNO. So I make all the points in your NCERT book, you get it through a paragraph wise, but here I make for making you easy for all the students. For that reason I make here one chart. Let's see that what have in that chart. So first we have to know that there's a two basic kinds of reforms which wanted by the UNO. What are the reforms? The first one is that reform of structure and process. They wanted that they want to take some kind of change when they want to take want to make some changes in the structure process, in the structure or the process of the UNO's policy. So basically the first demand of the UNO members or the countries of nations of the UNO, that they wanted to make a change in their structural form and in their process form. Along with it also they wanted the another changement in the areas of UNO, that is the jurisdiction of UNO. What are the policies or strategies or the areas which is fall under the UNO? They wanted to be changed little bit in that areas or by through the process and structure. So first we have to know that what are the structures and process they wanted to make it things. See, almost everyone is agree that both the aspects of areas, that is the UNO's membership, they try to create it so that the organizations and the way it functioned reflected the realities in the bodies. So basically there's a two reforms, that is the reform of structure and process and the reforms of jurisdiction. So here they wanted to focus upon these two ways so that they will be created some kind of change. Among that, the first one is reform of the structure and process. Here they wanted that expansion of the members in the Security Council. Now you all know that in the UNO, in previous video we already talked about the Security Council. There you already get to know about, or you have an idea that Security Council consists of 15 members, 10 for non-permanent and 5 for permanent, and that is basically they are made from the beginning of the forming of the UNO. So right now the UNO's members, they wanted to change this particular number, this fixed number, that is the 15 number, 5 in permanent and 10 in non-permanent. And they wanted that they are right now UNO have 193 countries, so why only particular 15 groups of members they get a chance, why not all the members getting a chance? For that reason they wanted that the UNO should be increase their membership in the Security Council, means they have to increase more members and included in their membership, and they wanted that there should be more than the 15 members. Then there will be the nature of membership change, abolish veto. You all know that all the 5 members, permanent members, those who are in the Security Council, they have the veto power. Now what is veto power? As we already explained in our video, previous video, but still I am repeating once again for your convenience, that is veto power means when any particular some special powers are given to this 5 permanent member. Each and every member have one vote. Whenever they give the vote, suppose in that whatever the matters is talking about or discuss about, and all are agree with that, but among them the 5 permanent member, if any particular one permanent member are not giving their agreement and not give their vote to this, and they don't want it that this matter will be published or this matter will be passed out, then they are using their power by not clearing that, giving their vote to in favor of that discussion. So this is called a negative decision to holding that back to their decisions or the proposal, and that proposal is not come out, is not passed by insist, though all the members give their vote in favor of that decision, but still as any one particular country of 5 among the 5 permanent members, they using their veto power, for that reason that proposal are not passed out or it is not implemented. So this is called the veto power. So basically the UNO wanted that there should be no veto power should be there in some hand of the UNO, that is a 5 permanent member. Basically the members wanted that the veto power should be abolished from the members or some particular hands of the UNO. Then let's talk about the jurisdictions of the UNO, that is saying that it is so in the under the jurisdiction of UNO, some countries of the UNO or some experts, they wanted that the organization have to play a greater role or have to play an effective role for keeping the peace and security or giving more effective role on the peace and security, so that the peoples or the UNO's nation among of the UNO nation or the members of the UNO, they will be live in a peaceful manner. So it's they think they wanted that some countries or experts, they wanted that the UNO should be keep focusing on the role of its role play and give more importance to the peace and security mission of the members. And the second one is that they also wanted that some organization also wanted that the UNO should not only focus on the peace and security, but UNO should be focused on the developmental work of its members and also the humanitarian work. They also confined that the UNO's some wanted that the UNO members should showing or give focusing upon the development and the humanitarian work like health departments, education, environmental, population control, human rights, gender, social justice. So these are the areas on which they wanted that the UNO should be think about, and they have to reforms the areas and work on that particular area, so that they will be developed their work and they will be give more humanitarian work to the nations. So basically the UNO some members of the UNO wanted that the UNO should expand their areas not only in the peace and securities areas or jurisdiction, but also they have to be take care of the jurisdictions or the areas of UNO towards the development and the humanitarian work. Now the thing is that what they wanted to be what are their motto by giving the suggestion to expanding the Security Council, that's we have to know. See, basically you all know that in the Security Council, what we already talked about, that the Security Council are mainly the 10 permanent members the 15 members, among them 10 will be the non-permanent and 5 will be the permanent one. So basically they wanted some countries wanted that the membership should be expanded. Now they wanted that they should be increase the membership of the Security Council by involving the Asia, Africa, then you can say the South America. Means they wanted that they give the proposal to the UNO that they should be change their process so that all the members of the UNO, they also get a chance to included in the membership of the UNO. So they try to involve, they try to increase, they try to expand the membership percentage of the UNO. And as well as they wanted that whatever the procedures or whatever the administration's role play are taken by the UNO, that should be monitored, and they have to improve the administration's role play, and also they have to take care about the budgetary process. Why? Because the contribution what the UNO are fixed up, that is somehow and not understand by the UNO members, because they don't know how much they have to contribute it. Here the UNO, which we already later we have discussed about this point in a details manner, that what kind of budgetary procedures they have talking about and what kind of administratives they have talking about. So basically here you have only have to know that there is a two forms of basic kinds of reforms. That one, the UNO members wanted to reform or change the structure and process of UNO, and they wanted that they have to focus on the jurisdiction of the UNO. Under the reform of the structure and process, they wanted that expansion of the Security Council's members, so that the Asia, Africa, South America and different kinds of members belt, they also included in that, and they wanted to take care of the administrative role play of the UNO upon the budgetary process or the contribution process, and also they wanted to abolish the veto power, and along with that jurisdiction they wanted to focus on the security and peace as well as with the developmental and the humanitarian work. So these are the chart which I prepared for you to understand about the basic structure of the reforms of the UNO. Now the question arises that why do they need for reforms just after the Cold War? Because the scenario what we have before the Cold War, that is totally opposite, and that is totally changed after the Cold War. So along with the changement of the society, it's very much needed to reform the structures and the process, or to reform the UNO also. So we have to know about through some points that what are the why they need to reform the UNO after the Cold War. The first one is that the Soviet Union has collapsed. You all know that in 1991, our Soviet Union that was collapsed, and before that the scenarios totally same are different, because there's a two superpower, and among the two superpower, all the groups, all the members of the others country, they are making the alliance one. But right now there will be no alliance group. So for that reason, 193 countries, they are right now independent. So after the collapse of the Soviet Union, right now the new forming independent countries came out, and also they wanted to some kind of reform. So we should be reform the structures also. The USA is the strongest power. Still, in previous, there's a two types of strong power. You all know that the superpower, US and USSR. But right now, only as it is a unipolar world, so here the USA is have the strongest power. So for that reason, they are somehow the try to dominate over the other countries. So for that reason, they need to reform the UNO. The relationship between Russia and the US is much more cooperative. See, before the 1991, that is the disintegration of Soviet Union, that is the timing when the Soviet Union and the USA, they don't have a very good relationship, because they both are it's different from each other, and they both are somehow we can say the two pole, that is we already know that there's a two superpowers. So they are acting as a two different kind of poles which are not matching with each other, and they have a problem to along with their ideologies and some kind of alliance group. But after the breaking of the Soviet Union, or you can say the collapsing of the Soviet Union, now the successor of the Soviet Union, that is Russia. So right now the Russia and USA, they have much more cooperative areas in among them, between them. So for that reason, we need some kind of reforms. We need some kind of reforms in the policy which we have in the before during the time of the Cold War, and which we have to change after the Cold War. Right now, China and India both are somehow very is a growing rapidly, and it's a fast emerging as a coming up in the society as a great power. So we also have to think about the membership of the UNO, and by reforming it. The economic of Asia has grown by an unprecedented rate. Means before the before the ending of the Cold War, there is a different scenario. We have seen economical scenario or economical status. We have seen of the Asian groups, because they all are allied with the Europes, with the Soviet Union or the US. So for that reason, we have seen right now the US Asians group, they also have very much growing in a rapid way. So for that reason, the economical status of the Asia, that is very much grown, and it is not very much predictable. So their growth of rate is very much high. So right now we have to need some of reforms. Even many new countries, which I already explained, that many new countries have joined the UNO, because after the breaking of the Soviet Union, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, many countries, those who are dependent in that timing, they come as a independent countries, and they come as a newly merged independent. So for that reason, they are joining the UNO, and many new countries, because in our previous video, I hope you all get an idea. There I already explained that only 51 states are there, those who make the UNO, but right now it's up to 2011, it's 193 countries, those who joined the UNO. So you can imagine you can understand the graph of 51 to 193. So there's a huge gap between the line of the making new members. So for that reason, the members, how much in the rate of how much the members are joined in the UNO. So we have to change the policies also according to the current situations or society. A whole new sets of challenge confronts the world. See, when the UNO when the UNO was created, their policies or structures, and in that timing, when they already created, in that timing the situations are totally different. But right now, many new challenges are come in front of us. Right, we have so many civil wars after making of the UNO. We have some climatical change issues. We have environmental degradation also. We have epidemics right now. We are causing with the that is the pandemic, that COVID-19. So different kinds of issues were come in front of our society. So we have to take care of that all the policy what we have made, that should be periodically it will be should change, and periodically it should be reformed, so that it will be cope up with the new challenges what we have faced in our day-to-day life or in the current society. Because we cannot say when it was made, when the UNO was made just after the Second World War, that timing the challenges, civil wars, the environmental degradations, the climatic change, new kinds of epidemics, that was not faced during that time. But right now the peoples are facing so much kinds of different challenges in the society. So for coping up with that challenges, we need to reform its structures and processes which was made in the old time. So in this video I hope you all understand that what's the needs of the reforms in our society, and why the peoples try to try to demand it, the reforms in the UNO, so that they will be cope up with all kinds of areas which is come in front of them, and they try to solve out all the problems what issues arises. Now the thing is that in this situation we can say that in 1989, as when the Cold War was ending, the question are so much questions that arises in our world, and does the main question is that whatever the challenges come in front of the world, does the UNO are capable for solving that problems? Is UNO is that much is enough organization who are able to solve all the problems which are come in path of the members of the nation? That is the most important question. And another one is that is it equipment what is used in UNO, that is to do what is required, that is enough for UNO, or they have to be need more equipment for resolving this kind of problems? Some are also asking about that what reforms are necessary to make it work better. So that also some question arises in front of. So for that reason we can say that for the past decade and a half, member states have been trying to find out this kind of questions, the answers of these questions, and they wanted to find out the satisfactory answers from the UNO, so that they will understand that whether the UNO is well enough to solve out their questions, or they need some kind of reforms, or UNO should be reformed so that they will be satisfied the members nation of it. So with these questions we will go on with our next video, because in our next video we have to know that what are the in a details way about the two reforms, that is reforms of structure and process, and about the that jurisdiction of UNO. Then we also have to know in our next video about the permanent place of the India and the unipolar world of UNO. So till that I hope you all understand, and thank you so much for watching this video, and make yourself understand about the topic through that chart which I already made for you, and the points which I made here, which I prepared here for you to make it easy, to make it easy, because in your NCERT there will be given in a paragraph wise. So I hope you all understand this topic. Thank you so much.